Welcome in TNCRadio.live. We are live on a Wednesday night. You're listening to Clutch Time Sports. And now, here are your hosts, Anderson and Banker.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kelly. Good evening to my wonderful truckers who are on the highway, byways, and the freeways out there, making sure that we get all the things that we need throughout this beautiful country. I'm your co-host, Ivan Anderson, along with my sidekick, Mr. Even Man, Mr. the Greek. I can't even call him that. That's back in college days, but I have to say that. Mr. Josh Baker. How you doing, JB?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to get these memories out of my brain from it doesn't even seem fathomable that our senior year of college was 25 years ago now.
The Greek.
25 years ago. This May is our college graduation. Yikes.
You know what? I just thought it was funny when Tom Kelly said that. I was just like, wow, when you mentioned how we used to call you that. I don't know when we stopped calling you that phrase or that name and started calling you JB or the meat.
Or bank or whatever. Or there's a whole list that we could go through that we can't even spend an hour on, I'm sure.
Oh my goodness. JB, before we get started, I had to say something real quick because for those of you that have the just incredible time listening to Tail Lights with the Bombs. They're a neat couple, but I was asking them about what the truckers are getting paid right now, and to my dismay, I can't believe that truckers are not making the kind of money that they should be making, because we saw during the pandemic how unbelievable when they stopped rolling. We had nothing in our grocery stores. We had nothing in our supply stores. We had nothing in our malls or anything. And I just want to take this time real quick to say, listen, everybody, truckers are a vital organism to this place we call America. And if we do not have them out there rolling around, doing things for us, getting things to and fro, we don't have an economy. As you could see during the pandemic, how quickly it went from 100 to 0. And so I just want to send a shout out. Pay the truckers. Pay them their due. Pay them what they're worth. They take care of us. Now let's turn around and take care of them. So that's my soapbox speech for now, JB.
And now you know the rest. Oh, no. I 100% agree with you. Yes, for sure.
So how are you looking at your bracket for the NCAA tournament?
Well, I don't think anybody else had Fairleigh Dickinson over Purdue. That's for sure. Just like nobody had Maryland, Baltimore County against Virginia back in the day.
Was that Fairleigh Dickinson Junior High School?
Yeah, something like that. By the way, I sent this text to a couple friends of mine that you know, Ivan, and the best tweet that I saw all weekend was Fairleigh Dickinson after they won. There was a tweet from UMBC that basically said, "We now have a friend," because now there's another number 16 team that has beaten a number 1 team. So I don't know why. I just thought that was funny. Well, I will say, and I'm going to ask you the same question here in a second, Ivan, because we went off the air last week without your prediction as to who the winner of the tournament was going to be. So as it sits now, I still have 3 of my final 4. Alabama, Texas, and UConn are still hanging in there, but my East bracket is just absolutely destroyed. I have no teams left in the Eastern bracket that I predicted as winners, because I had Duke and Marquette in the finale of the East, and I did not have FAU, I didn't have Tennessee, I didn't have Kansas State, and I didn't have Michigan State. So that one has been blown to crap. Yes.
Oh, wow. I had, if I get down going into the Sweet 16, I pretty much had Tennessee. I thought they would beat Duke. I pretty much knew they would beat Duke. But my 3 remaining Final 4 is Alabama, Kansas, and Houston. I had Kansas in there. I did not see Alabama beating Kansas, or I'm sorry, Arkansas beating Kansas. But my championship, I have to give it to them because they've played phenomenal all year. Didn't anticipate them having this kind of a season. I got Alabama as the champions.
Okay, so who are your other Final Four then?
Alabama, Kansas State, Houston, and I had KU, but they lost to Arkansas.
Okay, so you had Kansas and Kansas State.
Yeah.
Got it.
That sounds familiar. 1988, Kansas State Finals.
So 3 of my Final Four are also still in. I have Kansas State, and on the other side, Houston and Gonzaga.
Interesting. Okay.
Bags. That's good, though.
Yeah, it's funny because I feel like, especially with a team like Gonzaga, who is in the tournament all year, maybe they're not quite the elite team that we remember them being over the last 10 years, and maybe the pressure is taken off of them because of that, being a number 3 seed instead of a 1 or 2, and here they are in the Sweet 16 again. And boy, that game against UCLA coming up, I am all over that one.
That's going to be an awesome game.
My entire Midwest is still intact.
Oh, your Midwest is intact?
Yeah. Houston, Miami, Xavier, and Texas, all intact.
You know what? I am right there behind you. Houston, Miami, Xavier, and Texas are all intact as well.
In fact,
there with you.
I only lost 2 games in the Midwest, and they were both in the first round and fixed in the second round. Iowa State and Texas A&M, who had both had losing in the second round, they both lost in the first round.
Well, I had 1 game lost in the Midwest, and that was the Texas A&M and Penn State. Did not see that coming.
Yeah, well,
and they beat it by 20.
I mean, there was a slaughter. There wasn't even a fun game to watch. It was turn it off. This is over.
Because all of you had Creighton and Princeton in the South, right?
No,
the battle of the Blue Jays and the Tigers.
So much, yeah.
We're not talking about the American League preview again. We're actually talking about the bracket of the NCAA tournament.
I did have Creighton going all the way through the Sweet 16.
I had Creighton over Baylor.
No. I had Baylor over Creighton. Sorry, Baylor's the one that's out of my Final Four.
No, I had Creighton over Baylor, but I'll tell you the one that I did agonize with, and I said it to myself over and over, and I knew it could happen, was the Arizona-Princeton game. I looked at that and I said, you know what? I'm going to go with Arizona only because they're a 2 seed. But if I looked at how Arizona played the entire year, which was so inconsistent, I had an idea that Princeton could beat them, but I just 15-2, I'll just give it to them because they're a 2 seed. And sure enough, Princeton took care of them handedly, but would make Princeton not only the Cinderella team, but they got the glass slipper on, is that they beat Mizzou, a 7 seed, and they beat them pretty handedly as well.
Yeah, I had Arizona and Alabama in that South Regional Final, but I had NC State beating Creighton and beating Creighton and facing Arizona in the Sweet 16. But yeah, it's been an interesting tournament. We talked about this at the beginning of last week as well, Ivan, and the fact that we could throw as many darts against the board and pick a national champion out of this tournament, I think, than at any other time in the last several years, where it was just such a crapshoot that we had no idea who was one of those. Really, at least the feeling to me is that the teams that have the momentum coming into the tournament, the Alabamas, Texas, even the UConns to some extent, they're still playing like that. But man, everybody else that you looked at the tournament and it was like, well, I could make a case for any of these teams for winning. And of course, nobody's going to make a case for a number 16 to ever beat a number 1, but here we go. We got it again.
Well, just real quick, I've got Creighton against, which I thought would have been Arizona, but Arizona's done for me. So Creighton and Princeton. The one word that keeps coming up to me about this is parity. And when I looked at the Princeton Tigers, I was reading an article on them, Josh, and they had probably one of the most consistent years that they've had in a long time. They suffered no major injuries this year, and pretty much the starting 5 except for I think it was their six man was out a little bit, but the starting five has been in the entire year.
Well, yeah, you and I talked about this yesterday. I when I looked up their stats, every one of their starting five, except for one, has started all 31 games. So there was.
Yeah, they did start in 31 games.
I think we may have lost Josh there.
Yeah, he'll get back on here.
All right.
Yeah, like Josh was saying, all of their players had played 31 games, and most seasons there's 42 to 44 games. So they've had a lot of consistency in this. But I think the thing that I look at the most when it comes to college basketball right now is that we're thinking that people are going to have an opportunity with this one and done format to get a title, and they're just not going to do that. So I'm looking forward to this tournament. I think it's going to be real exciting. I think it's going to be real fun. Who's going to win in the Sweet 16, Tom? I absolutely have no idea, but I think it's going to be a hoop. That's just my opinion on it.
Well, I know it's going to be Houston, so how about that?
Well, right. You say it's Houston. I say it's Alabama. That's okay. We're coming back to our second quarter.
I say Texas.
It says Texas, says JB.
Look at horns.
This is awesome. Houston, Alabama, Texas. Wow.
Alaska, Arizona, Alabama. Oh, wait, sounds like a song.
Well, we're going to come back to our second quarter where we finally get to pick and get to say what is going to happen in Major League Baseball. You're listening to Clutch Time Sports on TNCRadio.live.
Ready for a music break? Did you know that you can use the TNCRadio.live app to hear the best in traditional country? Traditional country, you know, the good stuff from the 50s and 60s and on. Traditional country is more than a time period. It's a style and approach to music that we cherish. We have an incredible collection of songs that define country music and also sprinkle in some Western music, you know, cowboy music, bluegrass, Americana, and country gospel. Our TRUSA president and country Western music icon, Rex Allen Jr., also hosts an hour of music and memories. At TRUSA, we have a heart for the road and the heritage of country music. Wherever you roam, we hope you'll take us with you. Enjoy the ride on Truckers Radio USA. To listen to TRUSA Radio on the TNCRadio.live app, just click on the music button and then TRUSA.
Living life on the road can be exhausting. It's not uncommon for truckers to live inside their truck more than their own home. Other than the essential clothing, hygiene, and sleeping items, here are some items every truck driver needs to make life on the road more pleasant and feel more like home. A seat cushion. Comfort is key when driving for 11 hours each day. Having a seat cushion can help with tailbone and back pain. It's also great for boosting overall mood while driving. A portable stove. Investing in a portable stove is a great way to start eating your favorite meals on the road. Eating the same fast food and gas station food gets old really quick. Before buying a portable cooker, you need to invest in a power inverter. A power inverter allows you to use your vehicle's battery to generate AC that can run many types of electrical devices. Car mount. Having a place to mount your cell phone or GPS can be extremely convenient and much safer for truck drivers. Coffee maker. There's nothing quite like a fresh cup of coffee in the morning. Staying awake and alert is crucial for truck drivers. Dash cam. A dash cam is a must-have gadget for your expensive truck. A high-quality dash cam can save you from many problems while traveling on the road. A cooler. Having a cooler on the road can save time and money. It also provides the option for truckers to eat healthier meals. I'm Shelley Johnson with Kathy Tuccaro. You can hear us Tuesdays on TNCRadio.live at 8 p.m. Eastern on Women Road Warriors. And don't miss Steve Summers' Overnight Drive right here on TNCRadio.live, weeknights midnight to 5 a.m. Eastern. Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hey guys, well, I couldn't finish that statement before we came back. Welcome back to Clutch Time Sports here on TNCRadio.live. And that was a conversation for off air, so I'm not going to continue it. It's all I need is somebody out there driving around ready to come and get me.
How about that?
Well, it's that time. We're going to jump right back into what we did. We previewed the National League. Well, actually, the American League first, and then we finished up previewing the National League last week. And now we're going to get into some predictions. So, Mr. JB, you're the baseball man, so you're going to lead us.
Yeah, so before we actually get into the predictions, I just have to give a shout-out or whatever to how entertaining the World Baseball Classic was. Tom, I'm sure you're probably right there with me. I don't know if you got to see much of it, Ivan, but I was actually mesmerized by some of these matchups that we saw specifically over this last weekend, but the whole tournament was fantastic, and it comes down to Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout last night, with Ohtani striking out Trout for the winning out for Japan to win the World Baseball Classic for the third time in their history. I mean, I don't know what it is about seeing full stadiums like that in Miami in March for baseball. It just gets me pumped up for this MLB season. I don't know about either of you.
No, it was a great. It was a great setup. The whole thing, very, very well done. Could have never figured it out. That never planned it to be like this.
Right. And I mean, aside from Jose Altuve's injury, which I know you're crushed about, and same for Mets fans, and Edwin Diaz, the closer, tearing his knee up in a celebration after the winning their game to get to the knockout round, I think is what it was, or it might have even been their quarterfinal game. Just so many highlights. Japan's last bottom of the ninth inning win to get to the final to face the U.S. on Monday night was exciting. I mean, just Trey Turner's grand slam to get the U.S. into the semis. I mean, there's just so many highlights that were part of that World Baseball Classic that makes me look forward to the next one in 3 years.
That sounded like it was a lot of fun, and I apologize. I didn't get to see any of it. I did hear about somebody tearing up their knee in a dugout in the celebration, but I was out
on the field doing that circle dance. Yeah, doing that circle dance that everybody. That circle dance that everybody's doing these days. Started over in soccer, I think, and
soccer players can do that because they do that in their sport. I don't think baseball players should do it, but I was out, JB, with my son all weekend with schools and showcases for universities. So that's why I missed a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
It's all good. All right, let's get into some of our predictions. As Ivan mentioned, we previewed the American League a couple of weeks ago. This is the finale of our 3-week Major League Baseball preview. And just as a reminder, by the way, some news for you next week. We will not be on the air as TNCRadio.live will be at the Mid-America Truck Show in Louisville. So stay tuned for special programming next week at our time on Wednesday. So I know Tom and the Bombs and a bunch of people from TNC Radio are going to be out there live in Kentucky for that Mid-America Truck Show. So enjoy yourselves out there. But, all right, gentlemen, we talked about the American League East, and I'll just throw this out there now. Is anybody else not picking the Yankees?
Not picking the Yankees. I am not picking the Yankees.
You're going against the Yankees for the division winner, okay?
I am.
And that would be?
Blue Jays.
Are you serious?
Ivan, if you didn't pick the Yankees, I'd be shocked.
Are you serious right now? You know what, JB? I'm actually torn. I really am. But I think the Yankees will get it out. Will they win 99 games to do so? When I look at everything that's going on, I say the Yankees will do it. I don't think they need to win 99 games to do it.
It's going to be a brutal division for sure because there are a bunch of good teams. Okay, the Central, I think, is probably the biggest crapshoot in the American League this year. What do you guys got? Tom, I'll let you go first this time.
Minnesota
Twins.
The Twinkies.
I think they've done what they've needed to do to make the changes that needed to be made for the offseason. They got their shortstop back, so let's go.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, the way I'm seeing this play out, I think that Cleveland Guardians do it, but I think who would back them up if they don't do it would be the Tigers. So I'm going to have to go with Cleveland.
Cleveland. Okay. Well, and this is exactly why I love baseball so much, because it is such a subjective sport sometimes, because I don't have either of those teams winning this division. I've got the Chicago White Sox surprising everybody, and with their new manager and a bunch of healthy players again, coming back and taking this division over Cleveland. I had Cleveland second, then I had Minnesota third. I think Detroit and Kansas City are probably going to be towards the cellar of that division, but I flip a coin. I think any one of those three teams could win this division. I mean, Minnesota was in charge of it for most of last year until they tanked in late August and September. So I could make a case for Minnesota just like Tom did, but I could also make a case for Cleveland because they won the division last year. So of course you can make. So
why'd you go with the White Sox?
Like I said, they've got health back on their side again, and they've got a new manager, which I think will help get their culture back on track again. I think with Tony La Russa there last year, they just kind of lagged and were uninspired. And then when the injuries hit, he just had very little to play for. And I just think that they've got it back this year. So we'll see. American League West, Mr. Anderson, we'll start with you.
This is actually really hard because, when you talk about the American League overall, I think the West, the top two teams are just going to be added. And I have to take into consideration what Tom said. Tom said a couple of weeks ago, Houston's not going to do 106 games. They're going to do what needs to be done to get there, stay in front, get in a good position for postseason. So I think the American West is going to go to Seattle.
Okay. And they're going to be now without Jose Altuve for at least 2 months. So probably June is when we're going to see Jose Altuve back on the field for the Astros. So, Mr. Kelly, are you in agreement with Mr. Anderson now that Jose Altuve
Absolutely.
is out?
Seattle.
Okay.
Seattle's got it.
Wow, we got a clean sweep then. American League West is going to go to the Seattle Mariners. All right. I'll start with Mr. Anderson this time. Who are your 3 wild cards that are going to make it into the American League playoffs this year?
Wild card, I would have to give that, and this is going to sound really strange. If they make it, they're either going to have a bad year or they're going to make the wild card. I would have to give that to the Angels.
Okay.
And then I would have to give that to... Okay, here we go. You guys are going to crack up at this one. I got to give that to Minnesota. And then my last one, believe it or not, I'm picking Baltimore. I'm giving it to the Orioles.
Okay. So you don't have Houston at all in the playoffs. You don't have Toronto at all in the playoffs. I'm just thinking of potential division winners. Or my White Sox that I picked in the division for the Central to win that. So you've got the Angels, the Twins, and the Orioles.
You know why I'm doing that? I'm doing that 100% because I think it is really hard for Houston to even get back there. I don't think that Houston, not that Houston don't have the talent, not that Houston couldn't do it, the Astros couldn't do it. I just think that it's really hard to win back-to-back. There's something in the mindset that just, we've got our ring, we're tired, let's rest. They've got everything they need to win it all. But the question is, do they have the mindset and the willpower?
Okay.
That's the only reason why.
Mr. Kelly, who are your 3 wild cards?
New York, Los Angeles, Houston.
Okay. Wow, I'm actually pretty shocked. All 3 of us are going to have the Angels in the playoffs this year. Playoffs? I also have Houston as well, and I also have Baltimore as well. So
that's shocking.
Mr. Anderson and I are in agreement with each other on that Orioles pick for the wild card. Mr. Kelly, who's your MVP?
Vlad Jr.
Vlad Jr. No surprise since you picked Toronto to be the division winner. Ivan.
You know what? I really don't have one. I could not tell you. I really could not tell you. And I'm not going to go with a Yankee. I'm not going to be stupid and go with a Yankee and watch myself get blown away. If I honestly would pick one, this sucks. This really sucks. I'm going to have to go with a Seattle Mariner, and I probably would go with possibly Castillo.
Castillo, their starting pitcher?
Yeah, the starting pitcher.
Okay. Well, I have Mike Trout actually coming back and winning the MVP this year. I think it's his. If the Angels are going to get to the playoffs, he has to be the MVP. And as to go with that theme, Shohei Ohtani is going to be the Cy Young Award winner this year.
I also have Ohtani as Cy Young.
He needs to throw 200 innings, I think, to get the Angels back to the playoffs, and then Mike Trout to be an MVP. But I think that can happen. Mr. Anderson, who do you have as your Cy Young?
I would have to give it to Ohtani. I completely agree with that because he had a heck of a season last year.
Okay. Well, we'll finish up a little bit of this American League and then get into the National League in our third quarter. You're listening to TNCRadio.live.
Trucking Moves America Forward, or TMAF, is boosting the image of the industry by telling the story of trucking, and your story can be part of it. Upload a photo, tell us what you love about trucking, or send us a story about a good deed or charitable act in trucking. Be sure to follow us on social media and contact us through truckingmovesamerica.com. That's truckingmovesamerica.com.
Hi, I'm Dr. Christopher Cortman, and now for the Mental Health Minute. My third grade teacher, Mrs. Tuminello, used to say, "A word to the wise," and we would all have to say in unison, "Is sufficient." Well, I have learned after 35 plus years of therapy, a word to the wise isn't always sufficient. In fact, sometimes we need to be encouraged. We need to be reminded. We need to get a second DUI. We need to have somebody walk out on us. We need our physician to say, "If you don't stop smoking next year, I'll be here for the physical, but you won't." Sometimes we need to have things repeated over and over until we finally get it. And sometimes it takes many words to the wise to be sufficient. And Mrs. Tuminello, God bless you wherever you might be at this time.
Do you feel like you're facing more than just the physical road ahead of you? Are you wondering if there's more to life? Join Ron Frazier, the host of Truckers Life Radio, every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, where he discusses the spiritual side of a driver's life. On the show, he goes through the spiritual and moral questions drivers face on a daily basis, helping you, the driver, as you travel life's highway.
It's in this time. All right, everybody, welcome back. TNCRadio.live. This is Clutch Time Sports. Josh Banker, Ivan Anderson, Tom Kelly. We're in the middle of the finale of our MLB preview, and we're in our prediction segment now. We ran out of time to finish the American League, but we wanted to talk about our breakout or comeback player choices for this year, and I'll kick things off for us this time. If you haven't heard of the name Gunnar Henderson, he's a rookie third baseman for Baltimore. He is one of the top prospects, if not the top prospect, coming into the MLB this year. He is a guy that if the Orioles are going to get to the playoffs, and they certainly look like they were elevating themselves to do that by the end of last season, this is the guy, along with possibly Grayson Rodriguez, who will help propel the Orioles get to the playoffs. So, Mr. Kelly, who do you have as your breakout or comeback player?
Comeback player of the year, and this is required for Minnesota to finish on top in the Central Division. Joey Gallo comes back.
Okay.
And learns how to hit again, and we all remember why we loved him to start with.
But he's one of those guys, I think, that are going to be greatly benefited by the changes in the shift rules.
Absolutely.
For him not seeing half of the defense on the right side of the infield and the outfield as a pull hitter that he is. Mr. Anderson, you got a breakout or comeback player choice that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I'm going to give that to Bryce Harper.
Okay.
For Philly.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're talking about the American League.
Yeah.
Did I say Met? Okay, guys, forgive me. Yes, everyone. I was traveling, so I have been exposed. I have been exposed to unbelievable depths of certain things that I have not completed.
Okay, well, so let's look at a couple of the options here. Hunter Brown, Gunnar Henderson, Masataka. I'm not saying it right. Yoshida for Boston.
Yep. Masataka Yoshida,
yeah.
Outfielder from Boston, who was in the World Baseball Classic,
and Anthony Volpe. These are
from
all
the Yankees.
Yeah, these are all possibilities for this year. I just don't think. I think Boston way overpaid for Yoshida. I don't think he's there, but there are a lot of people who are really high on him and say, "Watch out, he is going to tear up the American League." So we'll see.
Yeah. And Chris Sale for the Red Sox is a comeback player eligible for
he
sure.
is, but I don't
see it happening.
I don't see it happening.
But
I just don't see it.
But I mean, he could. I mean, you never know. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, could happen.
All right. Well, we're also going to have a couple of hot takes for each of these leagues, the American and National League, but we'll save those for the fourth quarter. So
all right,
let's move on to the National League division winners. Mr. Kelly, in the East, who do you got going out at the East of the National League?
Stay consistent here. Atlanta.
Okay, I will do that same check mark with you as well, Mr. Anderson.
I have the Mets.
The Mets. Okay,
which is understandable. It's one of the two for sure.
Yeah. And who knows how they'll respond now that Diaz is out for the year as their closer, who got hurt in the World Baseball Classic. But they've got plenty of arms out there that they can fill in that role. So the Central, I'm not even going to ask Mr. Kelly because I know he's put in the St. Louis Cardinals.
Of course.
And you don't have to ask me either because I've also put in the St. Louis Cardinals. So, Mr. Anderson, are you going to deviate from that choice?
You know what? I actually am. And the reason why I think the Brewers are going to have a great season. So I'm going to have to give it to Milwaukee. I know. But I've got to give it to the Brewers.
I love the sound effects. That's great. All right, here's probably the biggest crapshoot of any of the divisions that you could probably throw up there. It's kind of like the NL East. You got the Dodgers, you got the Padres, maybe the Giants. I'm not even going to go that far because I'm a Giants fan, and I'm not going to pick them as a division winner. But I do have the Padres overtaking the Dodgers this year to win the NL West.
You betcha.
Mr. Kelly, you too?
You betcha, yep.
Okay.
Yep, I'm right there with you.
Wow, pretty consistent picks.
But I think we had talked about this, that we all agreed that the Dodgers have no idea which direction they're going. We don't know what they're going to do this year. And we know there's two players that got to have a great season for them to even get anywhere.
Yeah, you got to have Freddie Freeman be the MVP.
Yep.
And you got to have a healthy Clayton Kershaw for sure. Their bullpen is a mess, though. I'm not sure what they're going to have there.
And who's going to play infield?
Right. Well, they're going to have Muncy for sure. They're probably going to have a rookie Miguel Vargas somewhere in there, perhaps for Gavin Lux now that he's hurt.
But
there's
the guy can't hit his way out of a paper sack.
There's way more question marks for the Dodgers that have been there for probably the last 10 years coming into this year.
You bet.
Wild cards, Mr. Kelly. I'll start with you this time. Who do you got coming out of the National League as a wild card?
The Dodgers. They'll be in the hunt all the way. The Mets, of course, will be in the hunt all the way. And your beloved San Francisco Giants.
Wow! All right. I knew I liked you.
Are going to surprise all by squeaking in, maybe only by a game or so, but they will get in there and show up for the playoffs anyway.
I mean, I like you more than just because you're our boss, but I like you even more now because of that pick. All right, Mr. Anderson, who are your three wild cards?
I've got the Mets, the Brewers, and your wonderful Giants.
Well, you can't have the Brewers because you had them as a division winner.
I did have them as division winners. I apologize. Then the team I was going to kind of sneak down to because it's my hometown, which I'm just going to do this just to do it. is the Big Red Machine, Cincinnati.
Okay, well, at least one of those is going to be wrong, but okay, that's all right. No, the Reds and who else did you say? The Mets?
I said the Mets, the Reds, and your wonderful Giants.
My Giants. All right, I appreciate that. You guys, I like both of you. I really do. I have the Mets as well. I do have the Phillies, and I do have my Giants because I have to be a homer somewhere. I mean, right?
I don't think you get. I don't think you get out of there. I think the West has to put in 3. I think they have to.
Well, we'll maybe get to that in our hot topics, our hot takes predictions here in just a little bit too. We'll see. Mr. Anderson, who do you have as your MVP choice?
My guy. Don't beat me up, guys. No, I did not fill this out. Go ahead, Tom, because I know the guy that I want, but I'm just looking to make sure I'm doing it right. Tom, go for it.
Just because of how prepared he was for the World Baseball Classic and how awesome people thought he was as a teammate and just the leadership and everything that he's been showing, I think Goldschmidt is right there, MVP. Just has a banner year.
Okay. All right. I almost thought you were going to say Trey Turner because he had probably the best World Baseball Classic of any American, that's for sure.
No, it was hard not to go there, but Goldschmidt's was going to. Goldie's the guy this time.
Turner's definitely going to have to be one of the guys that carries the Phillies while Harper is out. I picked Austin Riley from the Atlanta Braves, who's probably the most unassuming superstar that doesn't get talked about enough. I know my brother-in-law is probably going to send me some love for this choice, but
not a bad choice.
He's a young guy that has basically been hitting 30 home runs each of the last few seasons, and because he's on the Braves, I just don't know that he gets quite the pub as say a Cardinal or a Met. But if the Braves really do separate themselves from the Mets this year, I think he's going to be the MVP.
What did he do last year?
35 homers. I think he hit just under 300, over 100 RBIs. He was fantastic.
Huh. My pick is from the Padres. I'm going to go with Soto. I think he has a heck of a season this year. He just got there, so I think he's going to do a lot better than he did last year.
He's probably going to be hunting for a contract too, so we'll see, or an extension at least. Cy Young, Mr. Kelly, who do you got? I'm going to really be curious about this one.
Well, I think we'll get some props from your brother-in-law, Spencer Robert Strider. Strides right to the top. Strides right to the top as the unanimous Cy Young Award winner.
Wow, even going unanimous with his choice this time. Okay, well, you're going to smile, Mr. Kelly, because I'm taking Justin Verlander. Which if he does, would make him the oldest NL player to do it, and he would be the first to win back-to-back Cy Youngs in different leagues. So I'm kind of rooting for this. I just want to see the story. I think it's interesting, and if the Mets are going to keep up with the Braves again this year, Verlander's got to be the guy that the Mets paid for.
Breaks down before the All-Star break and never pitches the same again.
And that is the Astro fan talking right there.
That's all the hate.
That's all right. Mr. Anderson, who you got? Cy Young.
That's funny. You went to the Mets, so did I. I got Mad Max. Okay. I think Scherzer takes it.
Good choice. Breakout or comeback player choice for me, it's going to be Corbin Carroll, rookie outfielder for the Diamondbacks. I think he takes Rookie of the Year and keeps Arizona in it, at least for the majority of the season. Mr. Kelly.
For me, the comeback player of the year it's going to be almost a toss-up between Tatis and Scherzer.
Really?
I think Scherzer has a fantastic season. Tatis, what a waste last year. But I think he's got his head on straight. He's going to come back in. He's going to blow everybody away. We're going to see that phenomenal talent. and remember how great he really was.
And if the Padres have any chance of doing anything, now is the time. So he has to be that guy. Okay,
well,
Mr. Anderson.
And the same thing with the Mets. The Mets, if Scherzer doesn't come in and just blow it away, seriously, by the All-Star break, we're going the Mets who?
Yeah, it's now or never for both of those teams, for sure. Although I think with the Mets, they're older, so their window is a lot more shut than the Padres at this point. Mr. Anderson?
I agree with you. Oh, come on. I already said it by accident. Mr. Harper from Philly. Come on.
He's going to come back in the second half of the year and just blow people away. All right.
Well, he was the reason why they even got where they got last year. So I think he's going to do that. I just like him as a player, too.
Okay. Well, I don't disagree with any of these picks, and obviously there are no wrong picks in March. So we'll find out in September, October where things go. But when we come back, we're going to talk of our 2 hot takes for each league and give you our World Series predictions. You're listening to Clutch Time Sports right here on TNCRadio.live.
Do you have the TNCRadio.live app? It's free and easy to download. Just go to app.tncradio.live, Google Play, or the App Store. Get access to live streaming radio developed by drivers for drivers. Download the TNCRadio.live app today. Eight fun facts about truckers. It may be likely that when asked about your driving career and what all it involves, you're able to rattle off some answers like far from home, little sleep, heavy loads, big rigs, lots of waiting, gas stops and rest stops. But there is so much more to the freight industry that you should appreciate yourself for. Number 1, and so it began. A German-American blacksmith named Charles Fruoff invented the first tractor-trailer back in 1914. He needed a way to transport his boat. Number 2, now hiring. In the United States alone, 8.9 million people have a job in the trucking industry. 3.5 million of these are truck drivers. Number 3, the roots with a growing job. The trucking industry is soaring. Since this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, it's worth serious consideration as a stable career for anyone looking for an exciting change in job security. You go, girl. Only 6%, or a total of 234,000, truck drivers are women. Women are rarely the first to come to mind when we think about truck drivers, but these tough women are embracing the new family dynamics the pandemic has presented to all of us and taking on careers to keep their families and America rolling. Number 5, time to fuel up. There are about 15.5 million active trucks in the United States trucking industry, and the average commercial truck consumes over 20,000 gallons of fuel each year. Number 6, less pollution is the solution. Because of clean diesel technology, 60 modern-day trucks put out the equivalent emission of a single truck from 1988, and emissions from heavy trucks have been cut over 95% in the past 2 decades due to EPA regulations. Thank you, science. We can all breathe easier. Number 7, shoot for the stars. You'll land on the moon. There are close to 16 million active trucks in the United States, with over 3.5 million truckers behind the wheels. This means that if you could pile up the vehicles, they'd reach the moon. Number 8, home away from home. Truck drivers spend more than 240 nights away from home each year. Small business truckers drive more than 3 million miles in their lifetime, which breaks down to a yearly average of more than 115,000 miles.
For the latest in traffic, weather, and information, catch the Morning Grind weekdays right here on TNCRadio.live.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Clutch Time Sports right here on TNCRadio.live. Josh Banker along with Ivan Anderson and Tom Kelly. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Instagram and Twitter. At Clutch Time TNC. Don't forget, next week, we will not be on the air as TNCRadio.live. We'll be at the Mid-America Truck Show in Louisville, so Stay tuned for special programming next week. We'll be back in April once the MLB season has actually started, which will be weird to think about already. But we are in the finale of our 3-week MLB preview, and here in this fourth quarter, we're going to talk about our major predictions. But first, before we say who we have as our World Series teams and winner, I asked you guys to do a couple of hot takes for each league, National and American, and what you may see from a particular team or a particular player, whatever your fancy is on wanting to just stick your neck out there and, like, say the Cincinnati Reds are going to be a National League wildcard team. That's a hot take. It is. But hey, I'm not going to diss any homer pick because I'm a homer myself. I picked the Giants to get into the playoffs, so I'm no issue for me, Mister.
I think it's cute.
Maybe there is for Mr. Kelly, but not for me.
Tom loves it.
It's cute.
Yeah, Tom,
he loves it.
That's what makes for great radio, right?
It's cute.
So let's go back to the American League and a couple of hot take predictions. We'll just each do one at a time here real quick, but here's my first one. So I kind of touched on this when I was talking about the Orioles making the playoffs. I think Gunnar Henderson and Grayson Rodriguez will overtake the Blue Jays for the final wild card spot in the last 2 weeks of the season because Toronto plays the Yankees and the Rays 12 times total in the last 2 weeks of the season, and that's when the Baltimore Orioles get themselves into the playoffs. So, Mr. Kelly, what do you got?
Mine, I spilled mine last week, but I'll say it again. Houston finishes third in their division, but still make it into the playoffs.
Okay. Mr. Anderson.
Boston completely flames out, and I don't even think they win 70 games.
I'm not sure that's a hot take. That's a pretty
they
safe
did finish
take.
last in their division last year.
Yeah.
But, I mean,
It's not a hot take, but I just had to get that in there because I hate Boston.
Yeah,
I was going to
much.
say that is not a hot take. That is a Yankee take right there.
That's a
ladies and
Yankee
gentlemen.
take.
It is
All
a
right.
Yankee take.
All right, hot take number 2. Mr. Kelly, we'll start with you this time.
Tampa Bay is revealed as being as mediocre as we all really suspect they are.
They are who we thought they were.
That's right.
Rest in peace, Mr. Green. Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
Mr. Anderson?
Cleveland Guardians are that good, and they are just going to get better, and they will win so many games this year. I think the Cleveland Guardians will finish at the highest they've finished probably in 15, 20 years.
Okay. All right, my second hot take for the American League is Julio Rodriguez of the Mariners will lead the league in both homers and stolen bases this year.
Wow.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
He came onto the scene last year in the home run derby, as most people saw, in L.A., and I think he's going to carry the Mariners to not only the division winner, like I said, but to the home run lead in the American League this year and the stolen base lead this year
I
as
can
well.
see it.
So that's
I'm good with that.
That's my second hot take. Let's move over to the National League. The National League. Mr. Anderson, we'll start with you. What is your first hot take for the National League?
Woo. My Yankees, I'm sorry, National League. I was looking at Philly and I was looking at something else. I'm stuck on Philly, and I'm stuck on this team, even though I kind of predict against them. I don't know. I'm just really thinking that this team with Harper, with their pitching core, is going to be the team to beat in the National League. And there's a possibility that they take it all the way this year. It's just really possible. I think they win the World Series.
Ooh, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Yep.
Yeah, sorry.
It's all right. Well, my first hot take is one that I kind of briefly glossed over when we were talking about the wild cards. But my hot take is the Dodgers will not even make the playoffs this year. They will be left out. They will be behind the Giants and the Padres in the National League West. And because the Braves, Phillies, and Mets are all pretty stinking good in the East, I just don't think there's enough room for the Dodgers in the playoffs this year. Mr. Kelly.
All right. Well, while everybody else is looking at the coasts, St. Louis not only breaks through with an incredible run throughout the year, but they're going to have an incredible playoff performance as well.
Well, they certainly have the pieces to do it. There's no doubt about that. All right. Well, our final hot take for the National League. I'll start us off this time. The Phillies, who are becoming Ivan's second favorite team, apparently, it sounds like. They will not even be a 500 team when Bryce comes back. But when Bryce Harper comes back, that will launch a comeback for them to get into the final wild card spot in the National League. That's my second hot take. Mr. Kelly?
By the end of the season, the pitch clock fiasco will be so bad and so much will be blamed on the pitch clock that the entire thing will be up and questioned for the 2024 season.
Okay. Well, that's a hot take right there.
That's very hot.
That is
hot and controversial.
You know, they actually started
HT hot.
They actually started making changes to it today.
What they do?
Things like, well, they realized that when the pitcher goes over and covers first base, he doesn't have time to get back to the pitcher mound before the clock's going again.
It's just those little things you don't quite think of when you're. Yeah, I know exactly.
Tom is just glad to find one. He's going to find as many as he can.
That was just one of them. There's all sorts of issues that they're going to find.
What if the pitcher's backing up home plate on a play at the plate?
Yeah. There's going to be all sorts of
there's going to be all sorts of issues
the mound
for that too.
Yep. We'll see.
Well, maybe they change it where he tags up on the plate. If he's doing that, covering home or covering first, then he must, tag up, and they start the clock when he tags up. I'm just thinking from the pitching mound.
Yeah.
You keep thinking, Butch. That's what you're good at.
Ooh.
All right.
Wow.
Well, before Tom and Ivan go to blows, we've got 3 minutes left. Perfect amount of time. Let's get our World Series predictions out there. And Mr. Anderson, I'm going to start with you because I know, well, maybe I don't know who you're going to pick, but I'll let you lead off this time.
No, my last take was on the Padres. I think they win the West completely because you guys didn't give me my last take.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
No. Padres completely win the West, and Philly is going to the World Series.
Okay. Philly is going to the World Series against who? Yankees?
First, come on, man. You know I'm not going to go against them. Come on.
Certainly not the Red Sox.
No, come on. Yeah, Philly Yankee. It'll be a Subway Series again, but not in the playoffs.
Are you going to be daring enough to pick your Phillies over your Yankees?
No, I would not do that. I would take the Yankees every way that I can.
All right.
Definitely no Houston Astros this year.
Well, hey, they've got some issues for sure. But Mr. Kelly, are you going to slide the Astros in there somewhere? I have a feeling you're not.
The St. Louis Cardinals play the Houston Astros in the World Series in what is considered one of the greatest World Series of all time, going all 7 games with the Astros losing to the Cardinals by 1 run.
And you thought I was way out there with the Cincinnati Reds?
Yeah, you do. But anyway,
still do.
I still do, but I don't disagree with the choices of the teams there, Mr. Kelly, and I can't argue against the finality of it either. The Cardinals are going to be good. They're going to sneak up on a bunch of people again this year. I agree. All right, my World Series. I have Atlanta getting back there to the World Series. I just think that their youth is actually going to be serving them well this season against teams like the Mets and the Dodgers and the Padres and the Dodgers are not going to get into the playoffs, but and I have them facing the Yankees as well. Although I think the Mariners are going to give them a run for their money, and I have the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series in 6 games.